Action. So do you mind just introducing yourself for us?
Yeah. So my name is James Parker. I'm a photographer and filmmaker. Originally born in Leicester, but like working and living in London. So growing up in Leicester was kind of very different to London. It's a much smaller city, but it's nice. There's nice parts of it, and it's very different to London in a sense where you can get out of the city quite easily. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot more going on in London, which I'm very much a city guy, so that's more me, I think. As a creative, I think London, creative stuff is always going to thrive in London. It is the place to be. Other major cities as well, but I think if you're doing something creative and photography or filmmaking based, you kind of have to be in here really, because it's just where everything is. So mainly I do like video work. Yeah, mainly I do like sort of video work, but photography kind of comes along with that a lot, and so they kind of become equal in passion almost, and I've ended up doing more photography in sometimes. But yeah, I think I just really love it because you can do something different every day. Like the fact that there's photos and camera work on everything, you can do something different every single day. And for me, I'm a person where I get bored so easily. Like I have a terrible attention span. It's really bad. But so it means that if I was doing the same thing every day, no matter how much I love it, I'm gonna end up getting bored. So I like the fact that I can just change things up constantly.
How did you feel in the first lockdown?
So going into the first lockdown, I was actually kind of felt like a little bit like, oh, I'm out of London now. There's a lot of things happening, and like I kind of feel like I'm a bit distanced from it all now. Because just before lockdown was when a lot of things started to really pick up for me, and it was kind of all. I was like, oh, it's all kind of gone now. But then actually, when it got into lockdown, I realised how everyone's in the same boat. No one's doing anything, and because it's so competitive, sometimes you can feel like I have to be doing something because everyone else is. But because no one else was, I could just chill, and I actually loved the first lockdown looking back on it. But coming out of the first lockdown, it was quite motivated and good, like excited to get back. And yeah, it was quite a lot of motivation coming out of the first lockdown. I think doing films and things like that definitely gave me a bit more of a direction, because I mean, none of my other friends were really doing it. So it was very different to like, I guess, everything else that everyone was doing. Everyone else was just like playing Xbox. I mean, I was playing Xbox a lot as well, but it was very different. It did give a bit of a direction, because I kind of felt like I am kind of at least on a path somewhere, and as long as I'm on a path somewhere, you don't need to worry about it too much, because then you at least okay, I'm in the right direction. So I think the positive points about being a creative in this thing is you can do something different every day. So if you do need like a little bit of a reset sometimes, or like a little bit of almost a fresh start, you can just do something completely different, and you can kind of just like, it just does help to kind of like pull you out of almost like a new setting, new sense of scenery, a new sense of like new things you can be doing, and like that really helps with like if you're just in a bit of a rut sometimes, and it can just snap you out of it. I guess the negative side of it as well is that there can be moments when you're doing loads of stuff, but then there can also be moments where you're doing like nothing at all, and the contrast is so different. And sometimes you just do need to remember what it was like doing a lot of stuff to make so you don't feel as bad when you're not doing much. So I mean, in lockdown, with my friend Finn, we started the foundations, I guess, for a business, or like a company. And coming out of lockdown was what kind of that was where all the motivation was. It was in getting that started, and that kind of really helped. And so as soon as the first lockdown finished, so like everything just kind of kicked up a notch, and there was just a lot more happening than usual. And it's only got more and more since then. Like coming back from this third lockdown, I'm now the busiest I've ever been. I think if I was to speak to someone that, I think if someone was kind of struggling quite a lot mentally and they had a passion, I think it is one of the best ways to kind of jumpstart your mind a little bit and get it off things. And while distractions aren't always the best thing, like your passion will always be the best distraction, and will always be the best thing to kind of pull you out of that sort of state. For me anyway, it might not be the same for everyone, but that's always been how I've kind of functioned. If I was to give any advice to someone like in my position a few years ago or whatever, I would probably say like just network with as many people as you can. Like it really is who you know, not what you know. I mean, you need to know a certain amount. It is what you know to a certain extent, but yeah, I think if you can meet the right people and impress them and make good connections and solid connections, then you'll go very far.
My name is Clover Ray Smith. I'm a 22-year-old jewellery designer and I live in London. I'm in my third and final year at Central St Martin's. I grew up in Singapore and Hong Kong, and I was born in Philadelphia. I then moved to England for sixth form and did a foundation at Camberwell. I think jewellery, there's something about it when I'm making where I don't need to think about anything else, or I am thinking but not really deeping anything. There's just something about making or using my hands that just makes me feel happy, or I'm just like, oh, I'm actually doing what I want to do as a job. And I think I want to do it because I get pleasure out of it. And not a lot of people get that, so I'm really lucky. In lockdown, I definitely struggled at the beginning. I was finding it hard to be motivated because I was sort of in the headspace of, is there going to be a future in which, like, what is the point? But then I started to get more inspired, I guess, because I started feeling that there was an audience, for example, on social media. My work was being viewed and people were supporting what I was doing. So yeah, any advice I would give a creative who is struggling or thinks that no one is listening, people are listening. You just have to find yourself and be authentic, because that's what people connect with. And if you just start doing what you want to do or make work for yourself, there is someone out there who will feel the same as you do, who will like what you're doing because you like it. Don't make work for other people, make it for yourself, and then people are more likely to connect with it. With my jewellery, every piece that I make is for myself, and I just sort of, the way that I come up with designs is I'll see something or I'll think of something that I want to wear, and then I'll just make it. And then throughout the process of making, I'm always redesigning, and that's what makes the piece for myself or the piece special, because I am making it for me and it's something that I like. If you put out work that you like, then other people are definitely going to like it. You just have to find the corners of wherever you're releasing your work into that people are who will consume the same stuff as you, because there are people that have the same interests as you. It's just a case of putting your work out there and having them come to you, or being able to find you. I come from quite a creative background. My mum was a fashion designer and my granddad actually founded Paperchase, but he sold it before it was anything, so he didn't get much money out of that. But yeah, he was a graphic designer, and my family are really creative. Most of my cousins do creative things. And my mum always tried to get me to draw or pushed me to pursue creative subjects, and I always kind of rejected that, but I've always been drawing, always been sort of within a family structure where I was comfortable, who supported me in pursuing a creative subject. I feel like not many people get that, so I'm really lucky to have people there who support me. And I'm really grateful for that, but not everyone else has that. And I would just like to say to those people who are worried that it is possible, it sounds really cringy, you just have to believe in yourself and go for it, because if you're passionate about something, you will succeed. I think what I'd say to creatives who are in a rut or can't get out of just this headspace where they're stuck and they think that no one cares about them, or that they're not going to amount to anything, I think that they just need to hold on to the fact that that is not true. There is someone that will connect to your work or whatever you're making they will respond to it emotionally. I think you just need to be able to find that you just need to find that audience, and if you connect with people like yourself, then you'll be fine in the end. You just need to really push, create what you want to create, not what anyone else wants you to make, and then you will find those people, or you will just, like, people will be drawn to you. I think there's a magnetism in authenticity, and I think people are going to connect to you if you are making what you want to make.
My name is Turk, it's what I go by. I'm a YouTuber, and Life of Turk is what they call me, it's what I do. Right, so I grew up in East London, born and bred, so I am, as you can tell from the accent, Cockney, hold that. So growing up in the area I was in, it actually didn't inspire me to do what I do. What I did was, it was on a whim, getting into recording and filming. Actually living in the area I live in, it doesn't actually give you that sort of inspiration to get into that sort of stuff. So me getting into what I did it was by accident, really. Yeah. So I'll tell you a bit about my family life. My family, it was a rough upcoming. Not gonna lie. It's a tough one because it wasn't easy growing up as a kid. There was a bit of lots of actually domestic abuse going on. So obviously it was hard. A lot of my childhood was stripped away from me. So it wasn't easy. I've seen some things in my lifetime that I rather wish I didn't. But at the same time, it's made me into the man I am today. So making videos for me is, I end up going to this world, right? That when I'm in that world, I'm just full of energy. I'm excited. There's no stopping me. I feel like that my true self comes out when I'm doing this stuff, because I've noticed when I was younger, I had a very creative side to me. I just never knew how to implement that. And once I started making videos, going out there, just becoming the person I'm meant to be, I've just had fun with it, so yeah. If you're younger, you're going through a struggle and you want to do something in terms of making yourself creative and putting your mind off of things which are going on, my biggest advice would be, first know what you want to get into. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to try plan A, plan B, plan C, and then you're going to find yourself in a situation that you might not like any of them things, which put you in a way worse state. You need to focus on one thing and work on it. Not everyone, when they start, it is what you want it to be. It takes time, it's a process. It's the same as when a child is born. That kid don't come out knowing how to walk and talk. It's a process. So just make sure anything you get into, obviously I advise you to get into it, it takes your mind off it. It's brilliant to get your energy out, put your passion out, and just take your mind off what's going on at home sometimes, you know what I mean? Because that's the main thing, taking your mind off what's going on indoors and entering that world makes you a much happier person, keeping busy. So yeah. So admittedly, talking about mental health, this is my first time talking about it. I've never spoken about it. If you watch my videos, you'd never think I'm someone that struggles with it. Yeah, you need to talk about mental health. There's been many times I've sat there after a day of recording or something, I've had the best day ever, and I sit indoors and I think to myself, why? What's going on? And I could sit there for hours in silence. I've got a million things running through my head. I don't even know what's going on. It's put me down a dark path many times. I've lost sleep over it. I've been in hospitals. It's just done some crazy, like when your mental health isn't there, your physical body starts deteriorating as well. So yeah, if you can talk to someone about it, talk to someone about it. Even if you feel like there's no point, there is a point. Because when you start talking to someone, it starts opening up doors and like situations like, in my case, my cameraman, which is a good friend of mine, when I felt down, I give him a call, we come up with an idea to make a video, and that's it, I'm busy again.
And what do you think of like the stigma about men speaking about mental health?
Oh, the stigma about men speaking about mental health, well, I'll tell you something, it's not easy for us. It's not easy for us because there's this thing in society where we're made to believe men and women are made to believe that all men should have a dominant side, should stand tall, should always keep quiet about it. And if they say anything about it, people start laughing at them. Stuff like that. Obviously, there's only so much I can say to you without it getting to a level where, do you know what I mean? There's just, we're not actually meant to have mental health problems. That's how society sees it. We're not meant to, but we do. And that's what hits us harder, because we do. I tell you what's important to me, it keeps me busy. It keeps me busy. If I'm not busy, and I'm not doing something, and I'm not going on with my day-to-day life knowing that I've got something to work towards, or do something, then this mental health of mine goes spiraling out of control. I can go months of not knowing what I'm doing with myself. I can just be a total mess, a total wreck, and no one wants to see that.
You were talking about how you were struggling, right?
Right.
Yeah, when you were younger. Was there a moment where you were like, where it clicked?
Do you know what? No, there wasn't a moment in my life where I felt like that I have to switch things. There wasn't that moment. Everything happened by accident. Everything fell in place as it is. For me, it was just, I kept doing what I did, and if it got better, it got better. If it got worse, it got worse. It wasn't in my head, it went, oh, there's my turning point. It's just been a journey for me. Because I'm not a numbers person. I'm doing what I do for fun. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to get famous, although I appreciate I've got fans, people enjoy what I do. I'm going to be honest, I do it for myself. So there isn't that point where I'm like, yes, I'll keep going. If it works, it works. That's how I've always been since I was younger. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I won't do it again. Simple as. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe for more. Follow me on all my socials. Links are in the description below. Also, give top grades for this documentary. Hold that.